least I hope we are. OBS says we're streaming, so I'm going to assume that it is correct. And just hope that Twitch is, going to update like it should. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is April 27th. This is the April 27th TextQuest Devstream. So today we're going to be doing input modifiers, and what I mean by that is basically exactly what it sounds like. We're going to be doing things that will modify the string that you input when you want to interact with something. So last week we got output modifiers working, which to show you what that looks like, let's go to input view, suggestion, all right, and I've left these on for effect, just so it's easier for us to debug these things. This is what an output view, or this is what an input view looks like when we have the Pig Latin modifier on it. So it will change all of our output text to be in Pig Latin. Oh, wait, no, I lied. This one is actually using ignore chars, so we're going to change that over to Pig Latin. So let's just say eat. It's going to say eat way, and then it's going to change everything into Pig Latin. So we're basically going to be doing something similar today, but instead of modifying your output or the text that's shown here, it's actually going to modify what goes into the parser. And that's going to be a little bit more tricky because it's probably going to end up making some things very difficult to do. Namely, it's going to... The thing we're going to start off doing is basically ignoring certain chars. So we're going to say ignore the letter P. And that means that whenever you type, say, apple, that would actually get turned into ale, which apparently my dictionary does not know. So that's good to know. And that could cause problems with trying to interact with certain objects. But I think we're going to be able to basically come up with a way to... It's going to be a little weird because it's kind of going to be shuffling strings around. But we're going to come up with a way to show what you originally typed with strike through on the actual chars that it took out. That way you know that it's not the parser messing up, it's just that something is wrong with the letters you're trying to use. So to start off, we're actually going to add a strike char modifier for our output modifier. We don't have that yet, so it seems like a nice little simple thing to start off with. And if you remember last week, last Thursday's stream, we left off saying we're going to need to do that basically for certain things, just because it's not incredibly obvious what ignore chars is doing. It kind of looks weird. So let's see here. I'm going to do peek here. I like to try and keep these things in order, so strike char should go after ignore chars. So right here, I'm going to say case output modifiers dot strike chars break. All right. Now what we're going to do is not incredibly complicated, but it is kind of weird. So for strike chars, which is going to do a strike through on basically the chars that we're affecting. I don't have anything that I can show you that looks like very easily. So basically a strike through is a line in the center of a character. It's usually used for things like making edits and then saying, this is what it actually is now. But we're going to use it to display characters that are basically not usable. So let's go ahead and say for int I equals... Okay, we're not actually going to say equals 0. We're going to say equals output dot length minus 1. I is greater than or equal to 0. And then I minus minus. Now, the reason we're doing it this way, where we're going from the end of the output to the front, is because we're going to be inserting strings into our output. And if you input strings into the output while you're iterating forward from the beginning to the end, that means that it's going to actually bump a bunch of indexes around and move them further back. So by going from the end of the word forward, we're going to be able to keep those indexes in their appropriate locations, basically, without any sort of shifting going on. So let's see here. We're going to say, do I have a string builder? String builder. Okay, good. I'm using system.txt. String builder new output is equal to new builder. Just going to be an empty string builder for now. Or actually, you know what? I bet we could just have it be the output. Okay. And the reason we're doing that is because, we're probably going to, potentially we could have a lot of strike through for output, so we don't want to, keep rebuilding strings every time we do this. So at the very end, we're just going to say output is equal to new output dot to string. Okay, simple like that. Oh, I guess I already have a modified output, don't I? So never mind. I don't even need to do that. I can just say modified output equals, or not equals, just append. Dot append. What am I doing here? Modified output dot append, and then output. Ta-da! Nice and simple. Don't need to do anything there. All right. So next, we're actually going to do a couple of things. We're going to have a list of ints that are going to be our char indexes equals new list int. Okay. Then we're going to do a for loop for int I. This one we will loop forward because it doesn't really matter. I is less than output dot length I plus plus. All right. And then we're going to say if output of I is equal to I guess we're going to need to loop through all of our. Boo. Wonderful. Oh, no, never mind. I made it a list. Great. So we're just going to copy this then. So we're going to say if ignored chars dot contains output of I. Oops. Then we'll say char indexes dot add I. All right. And all that's going to do is just build a list of all of our indexes that we need, and then we're going to iterate back through them in reverse to apply tags. All right. So come up here. Say public const string tag underscore strike open is equal to. I actually don't remember if it's. Well, we'll take a look at it in a second. Because I know that TextMesh Pro supports strike through. So, public const string tag strike close is equal to strike. Alright, before we go any further, I will look that up real quick. Compile. Standard assets. Gotta love compile times in Unity. So much fun. Alright, let's see. Standard assets, asset store, TextMesh Pro, user guide. Alright, let's minimize this a little bit. Look through our strike tags. Okay, so it's just S. That's even better. Way more simple. All right, and these are the things that are going to be inserted into our string to give it that strike-through look. Although, actually, you know what? I might do that. Hold on. Let's see, I think I have resources. So, TextMesh Pro actually supports styling and custom style tags. So if we wanted to, we could actually add our own default styles. I don't really need this, so I'll probably keep the default one in there. And then I will make my own just in case I need it. Let's go ahead and add create P style sheets. Alright, I'm going to create TextMesh Pro style sheet, which is a scriptable object that has these tags in it. Alright, so we're going to add one. I will call it. Do I want to call it ignored? What should I call it? I don't want to call it strike through because that's kind of what the actual name is. Blocked. Stolen. Stolen. Stolen? Stolen. Stealed. No. That's not the actual word. So okay, so we're gonna have open S, and we will also do a color equals. We'll leave that blank for now, and then slash S. Actually, I guess it would be end color and then end S. And what that's going to do is that means that I can actually just append this style tag stolen, and it's going to apply both a strike through and a specific color. So to get our color, let's look up HTML colors, or hex colors actually. And I can never remember. So we're going to do something like middling gray, maybe something like that, I think. So this is going to be our color. Let's grab that. That's weird, it shifted to red, but that's fine. We're going to come back over here, and we're going to paste this in right there. So that means it's going to basically color our strike-through characters to be this specific color. And the reason I kind of want to do color in addition to a strike-through is just so that it's way more apparent. Because the strike-through, most people I assume will see it, but having a color and a strike-through difference will really make things pop. So, all right, so this is actually going to be even better, because we're going to say, I believe it's going to be style equals stolen is what we want. And I think that's all we got to do. So, now we're going to come back here. All right, so now we're going to actually start building our string from the end of the string to the front. So, we're going to say, if I, actually, I don't even think I need to do that. I don't think I need a second for loop. I think I can just do this with however many, well, I do need a second for loop, actually, I lied. But it's not going to be this for loop. It's going to be something a little bit different. So I'm going to say I equals 0. Actually, no, that part is correct. So we are still going to go in reverse. However, we're going to go into reverse in relation to this char index. So char indexes dot count -1, and everything else remains the same. So instead of looping through all of our output, we're just going to loop through our indexes and say insert our tags at these specific char indexes in reverse order, basically. So let's say modified output dot insert, and it's going to be an index. So char, I guess it would be I. Or no, it would be char indexes of I. And our value is going to be, this is where it's going to get kind of weird, because we're actually going to do 2 insert lines per for loop, and the first one is going to be the closing tag. So tag strike close, and then the second one is going to be the open tag, and it's just going to be a little different because it's going to be char indexes of I -1 to be in front of the character, basically. I guess I should probably do this too. So we're going to say mathf dot max between 0 and char indexes of I -1, just in case, it's at the end of that, let's say that the first letter that you're trying to replace is at the beginning of the word. You can't go below 0 when you're trying to use indexes, so you need to just insert it at 0. Okay, and I think this will do what we want. We'll see if it ends up, it might be a little bit shifty in terms of where it actually ends up placing things, but we'll see. So tag strike open is what we want here. Okay. So with that in mind, come up here to TextMesh Pro. Once it compiles, I need to assign my style sheet to be the default style sheet because TextMesh Pro just supports 1 style sheet per project. So we want resources, TMP settings, and there is TMP default style sheets. We're just going to plug this in. And we'll just call this TextQuest style sheet. Very simple. All right. I probably should change my output. It might still be on Pig Latin. Okay, good. No, it's on strike chars. So, try it on the map because I'm going to be able to say read. And there's our strike through. It looks a little funky, but it does look right. What other? Great. No. Wait, no. It's wrong. It's wrong. I was right. It's inserting the strike through on R instead of E, but it actually should insert it on E. So that means I need to do this. Mathf.min char indexes of I plus 1 and output.length minus 1, I believe is on the side there. Okay. So that should be correct, I think. And that means that this is actually going to be that, which means it can never be 0, but we'll see how it looks. All right. So essentially we're doing sort of the reverse of what we were just doing. Instead of inserting at an index, the closing tag that we're trying to do, we're inserting the closing tag at the index we want plus 1. So that's at the correct, basically, point behind where we want to apply the effect. So let's try that again. This time the E should actually be struck through. So read. Alright. It's not super obvious. It is at least gray, and that does somewhat pop, although it would be kind of tough to see that. So let's try like eat. Strike through does not look great on just one letter, does it? Let's try it on like P. That'll give us better results. I'm not sure what words I have that start with P. We'll see. I don't think I have that many. I have peak. I don't have peak. That's disappointing. I have peruse, which I think is examine. Man, strike through just does not really look good, does it? That is a shame. I'm going to try capital P. That doesn't look bad. Actually, no, it kind of looks like crap. In other words, strike through is not good enough. Can I do like apple? Just to see what it looks like. Yeah, it's not clear what's going on there. I guess we can see what other modifiers we could do. Let's go to the user guide real quick. Because I know that I can do vertex animations and some other interesting text effects. But that's a lot more involved than just parsing out strings and indexes and trying to apply things like that. Let's see here. So you do superscript, subscript. Change the color. I suppose I could try like applying the superscript too, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Let's come back down here. Like just or a subscript. So SUB. Not a question mark. Come on. SUB. Just curious to see what it looks like. Because I like having the individual characters highlight and be different, but it's not quite enough on its own. Peruse. Yeah, I mean it's it's funny, but not exactly useful. So the idea with the strike through was to sort of indicate that the letter was stolen, because I want to basically have a character later in the game who will steal a letter from you. And I need to come up with a visual indication of that action, basically. So every time you type with that letter, it'll just say, I didn't understand that word because, or I didn't understand the word and then, you know, subtract all of the letters from it that are stolen and then have it show up like this. But that's not exactly an easy thing to do. So, okay. What to do? What to do? I don't like the subscript. That much is true. I'm gonna go ahead and change this to a superscript. See what that looks like. Oh wow, it does it in real time. I didn't expect that. Cool. So that means we can just live edit this to see what we want. Let's do like, ooh, what's happening? There we go. Let's say Apple here, just so we can get a clear look of what two things look like together. So superscript does not look great. If we get rid of superscript, it's gonna affect everything. Of course it will. See, the real pain is that the strike through is basically in the middle of the letters, which just so happens to be where a lot of this font's letters sort of have horizontal lines anyway. So it's not really that apparent, especially in letters like P and E. It just doesn't really do much. Harumph. Okay. Let's change this back to E, actually, for our... Where are you? Output modifier. I'm going to change this back to E. Mostly because I'm curious. Yeah, so sentence has 3, but they're spaced out, and they look like regular E's pretty much. Oh, and also weirdly enough, our E over here is not... Huh. Okay, then I guess I would have to do this. So this is going to be a weird check. I'm going to say if... No, hold on. What's going on here? Okay, I'm going to try that again. Because I don't know why, but the E on Apple was not actually getting struck through. Hello, Garrett. Welcome back. It's going pretty well. We're working on strike-through output modifiers before we move on to input modifiers for actually removing letters. So, for example, if I type apple, you can see that E in sentence and verbs and were, but not apple for some reason, has a gray effect applied to it, and it does have a strike-through, but it's super hard to see because the strike-through is right where the E's horizontal line is. Very infuriating. So, kind of working on that. See why that wouldn't work. Oh, and actually, that's what I was going to do. I was going to look at this. There was no verb in that sentence. That's fine. Yeah. So, that's odd. Huh. Okay. I think I just need to append it if the last index is equal to the last char, basically. But enough about me. How are you, Garrett? So we're going to say if char indexes of I is equal to, I guess we'll say output dot length minus 1. Then we're going to say modified output dot append tag strike close. Okay, don't have to worry about that. And then we'll say else. Okay, so we just have that one weird check case that we have to do, I guess. And that means that we don't ever need to worry about this. It's always going to be below our maximum possible index. And down here, we aren't subtracting I, which means that we can't go below below 0. So there we go. All right. So simplified the code overall a little bit, even though we had to add an if statement, which is kind of dumb. Yeah, I saw you posted a screenshot. How's development going on that? Got the sliding physics working fun? working fun, working well. I assume that's actually a fairly odd speed curve to get right. I actually don't know if the original one slowed down at all. I assume it was just kind of like a boo, super fast sort of thing. Anyway, so we're going to say apple. There we go. We got the E that time. That's good. And let's try eat. Okay, so E works, no errors. Good. So, yeah, it's a shame the strike through doesn't look better. Because, like, it looks fine when you have more than one letter, but when you just have individual letters, like in sentence or verbs or were, there, it's not very apparent. It's kind of sad. I almost wish that I could figure out how to do something like X's, but I'm willing to bet that that would be a pretty nasty process to try and get that to work. No acceleration. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was just like a flat speed that just changed. Time scaling? Oh, what are you using time scaling for? Okay, so go ahead and close this. And I'm going to go ahead and change these settings real quick. Let's duplicate this. Let's call this one strike through. Call this one regular pig Latin. And then we can get rid of all of this stuff because we don't need it. Just make this pig Latin. Alright. And so strike through doesn't really work very well, just because it's not visually outstanding. Although I guess I could try it. Let's try changing the characters to something like T, maybe. T doesn't really have a horizontal line except for it's near the top. So maybe that will be a little bit more visually interesting. That's the main problem, basically, is coming up with, so let's say, the self. Yeah, see, like, it looks, I mean, it looks weird, but it looks okay on T. That's very sad. What to do? Short slowdown so that the player feels the weight of an event. Okay. Big enough empty cups for you to drink. Okay. That makes sense. Because I don't want to make the character like transparent or anything like that. I do want it to be visible. So to that end, I can't make it really much darker than this gray. Do I have a color that I'm honestly not sure. I don't think that I do. Yeah, okay. I'm willing to bet that the map does not actually... Yeah, it's just white. I was hoping it had a color to it so that I could try to see what it looks like with color, but that still won't do anything. Huh. Okay. Well, for now, I think we'll leave it because I mean, it is doing what we want it to do, and it's just an aesthetic thing that I need to figure out. Because I was hoping that strike through would look a lot better than it did, but because of the shape of the font, it's just not really going to work. Yeah, I mean, slowdown is one of those really nice, satisfying things whenever it happens. I will say, actually, one of the most recent instances of slowdown that I really enjoyed was in Star Fox Zero, because there was like, out of that entire game, there was one really cool thing that I did like, which was if you were really close to an enemy when you flew by them, time would stop. Well, not stop, but it would slow down and the camera would pan so that you were looking at them, and you'd get this really awesome flyover shot where you could see both of your ships really close together, and you were just like staring at each other. It was really good, really good, very satisfying. All right, so let's go over here to input modifier. So now we're going to actually start modifying the string that gets passed to our parser. So we're going to say public input modifier pattern. Did I just call it pattern or type up here? I called it pattern. Okay. Pattern is equal to modifier pattern dot none. The input modifiers are going to behave very similarly to the output modifiers, just everything's going to be sort of loaded at the front of the parsing process rather than the end. So let's go ahead and say public string array. I made these. No, I made them lists, didn't I? So that I could look for them. So I mean, we're going to have to use system blah. Using system.collections.generic. Say list string. Ignore, no, not string. Char. Ignored chars. Is equal to new. Why am I double typing? Jeez. It is just agonizing to type that line for some reason. Jeez. Public list string ignored strings equals new list string. I'm not entirely sure why it keeps not letting me autocomplete everything. That's really weird. Alright. So let's do modify output, public string, basically the same thing. So we're just going to have public string modify input, string input. So again, it's going to act very similar to our output modifier. We're going to say using system.text. We need a string builder, so string builder modified input is equal to new string builder. And we're going to return modified input dot toString. Alright. Next, switch pattern. So we're actually going to determine what we want to do on an individual pattern basis. So case, currently we only have the one. Ignore chars. Break. Alright. So this is where it's going to be interesting. So I could be lazy and do a replace, but I think I'm just going to do something similar to our output modifier. Grab this, paste that in there. This is going to be input. If ignore chars that contains input of I, then we will say modified input.append input. Okay. So all this is going to do is just basically not add the chars that we tell it to ignore, and then it's going to return that modified string. So let's take a look at what that's going to end up doing. And of course, we actually kind of need to have our input view use that logic. Was there anything else in the output modifier? Just that function, right? Oh, right, the vowel thing was for Pig Latin, which I will not try to implement as an input modifier because that would suck. I really don't want to try and force people to type in Pig Latin. I feel like that would be a bit cruel. Okay, so let's come down here. It's going to be way down here at the bottom, isn't it? So we're going to say add input. All right. I think what we want to do here is say, this is going to be interesting. If, work with me here, if input modifier, that's interesting. Is this a getter? Why do I, oh right, it's so that other script can assign it. So if input modifier does not equal null, then we'll say text is equal to input input modifier dot modify input text. All right. Let's find all references here. All right, got a lot of stuff going on here. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. Definition. Modify our text at the very... Actually, no. Right, input modifier is really only going to modify our input, obviously, isn't it? Duh. Okay. I was actually putting it in the wrong spot anyway. It needs to go up here. So let's see, text equals text trim. So we want to put it here, essentially. So I'm going to do that. Okay. And then I will remove it from down here. Or actually, I'll comment it out for now. All right, now this is going to be weird. I'm willing to bet that when we first try this, I'm not going to be happy with it. That's not to say that it won't work. I'm just guessing that I'm going to think that it's kind of not great gameplay-wise, without good feedback anyway. So let's go ahead and say we have two ignored chars that we're going to use. That's going to be P and capital P. All right, let's go ahead and try this. Oh, actually, you know what I kind of need to do is assign it to that prefab so that it's actually being used. Okay. U-input. Let's grab this input modifier. All right. Let's try this again. All right, so this one is going to try and trim out our P's. And there it is. I do not understand the word ale. So, yeah, it does exactly what I thought it would. And I mean, it functions. That's how I expected it to function. But we need some kind of feedback here, just to show, no, you didn't mistype, and no, the parser isn't being stupid. It understands that you typed apple, but something is wrong with P's, so you can't use them. So if that's the case, it's going to be tricky. Although maybe not. Hold on. Let me come up here. I'm going to move this input modifier stuff after the add input line. All right. And then this will eventually call just add text. So down here at the very bottom, yeah, we're good. Okay. So I'm going to change our strike to target the P character. Shazam. Okay, there we go. So now, it should do what we want and have visual feedback. So I'm going to type apple. Okay, yes. So the P's have a strike through them, but it still interprets it as ale, which is good. I don't remember what else I had. Peruse self. Okay. Yeah, that works. I do wish that I kind of had like a animation though. So sort of like a little animation of the P shrinking or something, just to indicate that it's been stolen. That would kind of be interesting. I wonder if I can do that. Let's take a look at some of the example scenes in TextMesh Pro, actually. Why I kept these things here. Scenes, we should have an animation example here. Margin, bullets, style tag, text directions. Computer terminal. Computer terminal, I think, will have text effects, but I'm not sure if it's going to do exactly what we want it to. Here we go. Animating vertex attributes. This is something that we've kind of messed with in the past. Don't know why that was so hard to say. And in this case, you can see that he's jumbling the position and changing the color. And to show you actually an example of what we can do right now, this is going to be a little odd, but it should be possible. Come on, Cabin. I know you can do it. There we go. So on our character prefab, I believe we have a jumble that we can do. Oh no, that's actually what our reveal type is doing, isn't it? So whenever you talk with a character, we're doing this this sort of vertex. Well, actually, in this one, technically, we're not doing vertex animation. We're not that good. So if I say ask about game, you can see that it fills in. So we can use this sort of style to do stuff. I believe with this, it's actually just kind of offsetting things. But, you know, there's no reason why we couldn't use it to, like, jumble this and maybe make it shrink. I'm honestly not sure how advanced we can get, so let's try it. I'm curious. I would like to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new scene, create some UI. Do I want it? Yeah, I'm just gonna have static text, and then we'll port it over to our system. So let's do canvas. Let's create a background. Have it stretch. Come on, there we go. Have it be black, so it's a little easier to look at. And then let's add some Text Mesh Pro. So Text Mesh Pro text. Yeah, the vertex animation stuff it's things that I clearly need to know. You know, what with my interface being all text and whatnot. But it's kind of difficult. Actually, it's not really that hard if I remember correctly. It's just something that I haven't gotten into. So before we go too crazy here, let's put this in test. I'm going to call this text animation. All right, and then let's go to the example scene. So animating vertex attributes, and I believe it's just right here. So we can take a look at these examples. So we want vertex color cycler and vertex jitter. Because I'm really hopeful that we can actually apply vertex animation per character, and not have to apply that animation to every character. If we're lucky, we'll be able to do that. So the color cycler seems like it would probably be an easy place to start. It seems like a much shorter script. About as long. Alright, so it's basically all in a coroutine, which is fine. And okay, yeah, it's not really doing too much. So text info, current character. So I think we can do it. Yes, we can. It looks like we can apply this stuff per character, which is good. Because obviously we only want to apply it to the specific characters that we're trying to do it to. Although I am a little bit worried that this might end up getting complicated. We'll see. Because I might end up having to pass a reference to the... we'll see. There's a lot of things that could go wrong here. And I guess while I'm down here, I'm going to go ahead and make a test script. I'm going to go to test. Let's create a folder. I'm going to call it text animation. I really need to organize this test folder. Let's create a C# script, and we're going to call it shrink chars, or we'll call it steel chars. Steel chars. Okay. All right, let's go to our text animation. Camo. I know, there's just so many scripts in this project. Alright. Okay. Yeah, I think the most I've really used this sort of text animation for is per character reveal. But definitely need to try to get things like actual animation happening. So let's see here. What this one is doing, the vertex color cycler is doing, it's getting the character count, so however many chars there are. If there are no chars, it's going to wait, which I guess makes sense. Get the index of the material, huh? Oh, yeah. I guess you can apply per char materials, so that kind of makes sense. Get the vertex colors of the mesh. Used by this text element. Get the index of the first vertex used by this. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. So let's start with. Do we want it to be? Yeah, it's going to have to be a coroutine, isn't it? So let's go up here. We're going to say, oh my god, I need to organize my desk. Using system dot collections dot generic. Oh no, just collections. Doing coroutines. Don't think I need anything else. Although I will need to say using TM Pro. And then we're going to put this in text quest. Alright. So let's go ahead and say private void. Do I have a... screw it. We'll have an initialize function. I'm not sure if I have a text effect or anything like that. I thought I remember starting something like that, but that could just be me being crazy. Yep, okay. Nope, I've just been using the term text effects, but I don't actually have any base class for that. So that might be something that we do, depending on how fast we do this stuff tonight. It might be good to have a base sort of effect that we can apply to things. Alright, so we're going to have initialize private void start, which is just going to call initialize. Oh wait, no, start goes at the very bottom. I have a system. I'm also going to make this public, even though, you know, nothing's going to really reference it right now. And then we're going to say private enumerator, I guess steel coroutine. Alright, we will yield return null, and then we'll do nothing else for now. Let's see here. So text info. I need to grab this then. Yeah, this is where it's going to get interesting. So, that's going to be part of cleanup, isn't it? Oh boy, that's going to be so fun. Well, whatever. We'll deal with it when that time comes. So private text mesh pro UGUI text component. All right. Ta-da! Might as well make it public. I'm gonna be lazy. All right. We're gonna do start coroutine. And I think what we're going to do to start is we are going to have it, let's say it will change color and maybe size. I think that's going to be the goal for this initial pass. Actually, let's come back here, and I'm going to arrange all of this so that our UI is actually set up. once it parses, of course, and actually loads everything. There we go. All right. Wow. All right. So let's go ahead and just say we're going to stretch this, center everything, and that's probably good enough. This is a test sentence. Can't type. All right. Apply this. Did it not apply? Really? Okay, well that was weird. All right, let's go ahead and drag this in. Ta-da. All right, and then we're going to have a public char array chars. All right, so now that we have our char array, let's take a look at character info. Current character? Where are you setting current character? I'm guessing it iterates. Oh yeah, because while true. Okay. Do I actually need this to be... Well, I probably need a frame delay to let TextMesh Pro actually set everything up. So I don't think I need a while loop, but I will need a for loop. So let's go back here. We're going to say for int I equals 0. I is less than text info dot character count I plus plus. And then we're going to say if text info, let's see, what was it? It was dot character info, not character count, info of I dot, let's see what we get. We have an sender aspect ratio, baseline. We have a character, which I'm assuming is a char. Good. And I guess I'm going to just make this a list because I'm lazy for now. So using system.collections.generic. So a list of chars. List char equals new. List char. And then we're going to say chars.contains this character. All right. Let's see, what else do we have? So it's getting its index of the first vertex. Okay. Only change vertex color if the text element is visible. Okay, C of 0 is that a color? That's a color. Okay. Vertex colors. Man, this is nuts. Update vertex data. Jeez, that is crazy. So it's going to... It's grabbing the color, but I don't see it assigning it. I see it updating it, like updating the actual vertex data, but I don't see it coloring it. Unless new vertex... Oh, it's probably just grabbing it actually directly. That makes sense. Okay. So I guess we're going to need to do something similar where we're going to grab all of our new vertex colors, or all of our vertex colors. Let's come down here. Interesting. So you're saying vertex index 0. Text info. I guess we're largely going to be doing something similar to the color cycler, which makes sense because we're just doing that. So we're going to do this. Current character equals current character plus 1 modulo character count. Interesting. All right. So I'm going to copy the. Oops, that was not the right thing. Oh, geez. There we go. Just kept slipping and getting worse. All right. Okay. Just cut and pasting whole cloth here now, aren't I? Let's do text component. Doesn't need to be current character. I think I can shorten that to I now. So why are you... Seriously? What, does it assign it at some point? No, then why are you giving me... Ah, there we are. Oh, hold on. Need the material index? Really? Huh. I don't... Let's see what text info is, or what mesh info is. I don't think that we're really going to need that. So equals text info dot mesh info. So this, I'm guessing, is an array. Yeah. Let's just say I have 0 for now. Dot colors 32. Because for the most part, I don't actually think I'm going to have multiple materials being used. I think they just use the default. So I don't think I need to do this whole thing. We'll see. Text component, data. Okay. The last process could be done to only update the vertex data that has changed as opposed to all the vertex data, would require extra steps and type of render is used. These extra steps, unlike the optimization, will be necessary. So, all right. Let's, I guess, see what this looks like. If we're lucky, it will change our colors to be a random color for the characters that we're trying to steal. And let's go ahead and make it E. So it's going to be 2, E and E. And let's see what it does. It did nothing. We got a null reference exception, which is not great. Interesting. Let's try waiting. So new wait for seconds. Oh, no, not wait for end of frame. Wait for seconds. I think he did basically a quarter of a second, which is a bit of an odd time, but maybe there's some magic in there. All right. I really wish I knew a convenient way to make GIFs, because if we get this animating, it would be nice to have a GIF of it. Yarg! Really? Okay, so that's just not going to be a thing. Okay. So let's just do yield return null. And let's see what I am apparently missing. Maybe I do need to get the friggin' material index. Hey. Fine. Be that way. So we'll just leave that as undeclared. And then up here, we'll do this. And then make UI. I guess we'll see if that does it. Alright. Shazam. Compile. works. So that's good. Now the next thing to do is going to be animation. Or I guess a specific color. So let's go ahead and say public color stolen color is equal to new color. We'll do 50% gray. And then we're going to come back down here and we're going to say, do I need to convert between color and color 32? Because I think they're basically the same thing. I don't remember when color 32 is necessary, but I guess it's just when you want the full gamut between 0 to 255. Okay, so let's go ahead and say C is equal to stolen color. They're going to error out. Nope. Seems like it's fine. Okay. So now it should turn gray instead of a random color. And okay, yep. So that's good. We're getting color changes. Next we need to try and do animations. Itchy eye. It's very annoying. Alright, so let's see what the vertex jitter is doing then. This one, I'm sure, is not going to be much harder. Oh, yeah, the text events. Oh, man. I remember this stuff. Yeah, I remember this being a lot of fun when I did it a while back. All right. Yeah. Okay. So let's say great. That's what I want to see. I want to see a matrix 4x4. That always inspires confidence in me. Let's see, loop count. Has text changed? Oh, man. I guess cache the vertex data of the text object as the jitter effects is applied to the original position of characters. Ah, that makes sense. So basically, he caches all of the information before he starts doing anything with the while loop. That makes sense. Vertex data. Character count. Try and fill. It's not visible. Then there's no point. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that they didn't have geometry at all. So that's actually it's necessary to check if they're visible. It's not an optimization; it's a necessity. Okay. Well, then it's a good thing we're doing that. Retrieve the preconditioned animation data for the given character. Okay. Get the index of material used by the current character. So this is going to be kind of tough. I'm trying to think how I want to animate this. I think we're basically going to have a while loop that goes through all of the characters and shrinks them between a set size, assuming it can shrink, between their, basically it's going to tween them between their full size and then a 0 size, I guess. And that 0 size is, it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be too hard to do that. We're basically just going to have a float value that's going to go through everything. So let's go ahead and say change that. Although I can close it probably. So we're going to come up here and we're going to say public float, not public, public float steal duration is equal to, I'm going to say 3 seconds, which is, it's about a full second longer than I would normally do, but I want it to be very obvious. So we're going to loop through all of our characters, and okay. Next, we're going to have a float t is equal to 0, f, while t is less than 1f, yield return null. We're going to do t plus equals time dot delta time. So we're basically going to be incrementing this t value divided by duration, divided by steal duration. And then we're going to be lerping between certain values. So let's come back over here to vertex jitter. So it is also grabbing the material reference index, which I guess is just a thing we have to live with. Kind of disappointing, but source vertices. I guess we're actually going to want to do that. So excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this, cache that. I get the feeling this next couple of minutes is going to be a lot of me going, I'm going to do this and this and this and see what happens. Which I always hate to do, but you know, it's kind of what's going to happen, I guess. This is a forewarning. Alright, let's scroll back down here. Char mid baseline, center point of each character at the baseline. Determine the center point of each character. That's interesting. Is that necessary? Okay. Need to translate all 4 vertices of each quad to be aligned with the middle of character baseline. Needed so the matrix is applied to the origin of each character. Okay. Okay, I don't think we need that as much. We might end up having to do something like this just so that it shrinks in the middle, I'm guessing. Because I think what they were doing is that they were calculating out the center of each character so that it'll rotate around that center point, which means we're probably going to end up having to do something similar. But still. Destination vertices, text info dot vertices, it's just going to grab it. Yeah, this is going to be fun. So, okay, so yeah, what it's doing here is it's basically, it's offsetting each character down to the baseline so that it can rotate around that accurately, and then at the end of all those calculations, it's reapplying that offset in reverse so that everything goes back to where it was. Makes sense. That's not uncommon in something like this. So we will probably actually end up having to do something similar. Matrix TRS. Wow, that is that is super fun. Okay. Yep, we're gonna need to do that then. So like all of this crazy stuff. Let's see what else. Let's see. Oh, yeah, okay. So we're going to do for loop for int I is equal to 0, I is less than, basically this for loop again. Okay. So make sure that it's the correct char before we do anything again. And I don't think we need to do anything crazy here. Yeah. So we're just going to copy this. I feel like I'm programming for the first time again. Just a lot of copy and paste. Um, it's almost weird at this point, actually. I always feel so messy whenever I do this. Let's see, source vertices. So this is all int values. Yep, I'm just gonna end up copying and pasting pretty much all of this and then examining it to see if it even works. All right. I think we're almost done here. Not quite, but so we don't actually care about this line, I don't think. Although I probably will just comment it out. Okay. So translate, we don't actually want to translate it. So I'm going to say vector 3.0. Let's hope that that's correct. The quaternion is going to be quaternion.identity. And this is where it's going to be a little more explicit. So the only thing we really care about this is the scaling. And for that, we're going to lerp between, so we're going to say vector 3 dot, okay, come on, vector 3 dot lerp between vector 3.1 and vector 3.0 based on t. So it's going to be linear, but that's fine for now. And there are a couple of things to do. Jeez. Okay. I think I'm almost done. I'm hopeful that I'm almost done anyway. So text info dot mesh info dot length. Do I want to just update it for everything? I don't know. We're gonna find out. I'm willing to bet that this just like terribly crashes or something. Let's go ahead and advance. No, always hate the end of line conversion stuff. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that this just totally blows up. At best, it doesn't do what I want, and at worst, it's just gonna like destroy this instance of Unity and be like, nope, we're gonna crash. So let's see what happens. Yeah. Oh, we got a null reference, which is oh, that's interesting. Was that an index out of array exception or out of range exception? No. Interesting. Let's come back over here. So it was the copy line. Cached mesh info. Yeah. Copy mesh info vertex data. Maybe I need to move this up one. That would be at the very beginning. That'd be weird. I guess it's possible that it just hasn't instantiated, or not instantiated, but initialized properly yet. Maybe it needs a frame. I don't know. Let's find out. Yes! It did it! That actually doesn't look terrible. Doesn't look great, but it's kind of fun. Just gray and then shrink. Okay. I'm going to add a curve to that. just to make it fun. So let's go ahead and say public animation curve. Steel curve is equal to new animation curve, new keyframe 0f 0f, new keyframe 1f. Oh, come on, 1f. All right, and that means that we're just going to evaluate t along that steel curve. So steel curve dot evaluate for t. All right. So I'm kind of curious. I'm probably going to give a little bit like an overdraw or overscale, just to see what it ends up looking like. But yeah, I'm actually surprised. I'm not going to lie. I did not fully understand most of this stuff, and I'm very happy that it just worked. So that's going to be some fun stuff to mess with for the next like week or so, trying to figure out animation stuff within TextMesh Pro. Which really should have been something that I started doing as soon as I got TextMesh Pro, but I didn't. I really should have. Okay, so I'm going to give it like a little bit of overdraw. Actually, does that mean I need to do lerp unclamped? Yeah. Alright. So... I don't know. We're probably not going to apply this effect directly to anything right now, because I think we're going to need to set up a system for text effects that will basically... That was interesting. So that didn't do what I was expecting it to do. When I overscale below 0 for a vector 3, I kind of expected it to actually sort of inverse, which I guess it did. Okay. Let's try softening that. I want to do something like... So this is a linear, or not a linear, an ease in, ease out curve, which is the most common ease curve, really. Okay, yeah, that looks fine. Let's go ahead and try a couple of different curves just to see what it feels like. So this one should start slow and then speed up a little bit faster. So start slow and then... And let's try it in reverse. I think I'm actually going to like the regular ease in, ease out curve, honestly. And this one should speed up fast and then sort of taper off. Hello, 88 Spark 88. How do you set up a website? That is... Do you mean like how do you host it or how do you start designing one? Because the hosting is usually the most complicated part of it. But if you're doing any sort of like just HTML, CSS stuff, that's not really that bad. I did not pay attention. I was looking at my chat. Hold on, let me see this again. So we get a faster shrink. It seems like there's a bit of a hiccup there, which is kind of weird. So I'm going to keep an eye on frame rate. I feel like we get like a spike. Yeah, just weird. It just feels like a spike. Hosting. So there are a lot of ways that you can host. Honestly, it kind of depends on what you want to do. I found that a single static page is fine for me, and that I just go on Amazon, or you can do what Garrett did. I have not been to Weebly. Well, it looks like it's actually not that bad, so it looks like a sort of Squarespace type deal. So if that's fine for you, I would probably suggest using something like Weebly or Squarespace, because they handle the hosting for you. You don't have to worry about it. I'm just a crazy person who likes to have absolute control over every little thing, so I don't use them. But I do recognize that their tool sets are very nice for most people. just not crazy people like me. Anyway, so for our text effects, I think we're going to need to set up a system for applying text effects on outputs. And that's going to be interesting. Jeez. So that means that we're actually going to need to change some stuff, which is super fun. Well, I mean, that one was all Garrett, so thank you, Garrett. I will pass that thank you right on to you. Yeah, it makes sense. So it's like Squarespace, but cheaper. Okay. Let's see here. So I'm going to need to set up a system for text effects. And I think we're going to be able to start that. Let's go ahead and do that. Still got plenty of time. It's only been an hour and 20 minutes. So, so we're going to have scripts, modifiers. This is our input view. Yep. So I'm going to apply, create a folder, call it text effects. Did I really not? I could have sworn. No. Huh. I thought that I started work on something called text effects, but maybe it was just in my head. All right. So we're going to call this a text effect. It's going to be the base class. And this is essentially going to be I guess it would be a child object that would get parented to output or input sections, which I really should rename to be output sections. And once it does that, it's basically going to be initialized, and then it will apply specific effects like what you just saw with stealing characters. So this will be the system that handles things. I want to just press play Unity and show people, but I can't do that. I gotta wait for you to compile. So this will be the system that basically handles this, tinting and stealing, and any other text effects that I decide to do. If I was, I'm not a crazy person. I'm not that crazy. If I was really crazy, I would do some stupid animation to have a guy like come out and steal all those things. But I'm not that crazy. I refuse to be that crazy. Okay. So we have to figure out how we want this to function. First off, let's put it in the text quest namespace. And it's probably going to need using TM Pro. And I'm also going to assume using, yeah, it's going to, okay. So using system.collections.generic. So we're probably going to have a list of TextMesh Pro UGUI objects. So we're going to say private list TextMesh Pro UGUI. We'll just call them labels. Equal to new, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be an abstract class. We will, what else do we really need from it? I guess public abstract void initialize, and then how do I want to do this? So I could pass in a bunch of labels, maybe. So basically something like this: params TextMesh Pro UGUI array new labels. Basically something like that. Oh right, it's abstract, which means it's not going to have a body. And actually, I guess I would probably make that just virtual then, because I might as well have the base class take care of the label setup here. Then we do something like for int I equals 0, I is less than new labels dot length I plus plus, and then labels dot add new labels of I. So that would work. It just means that everything's always going to need to be able to pass that, which that might be fine. Let me look at my input section. All right. Oh, what is it? Just find all references. That'll work. I think the only weird places for this are going to be in things like, so text section, which has a label. Let's find all references here. And then book section, which derives from that, which has more than one label. It has a lot. It's not the end of the world. It just sucks because it means that I'm going to have a lot of things that I have to pass through that function that aren't very convenient. But at the end of the day, it's not the worst thing ever, I guess. So let's go ahead and say, so I am going to actually need this input section stuff because I'm eventually going to have to set up the input section system to work with text effects. So it's probably going to have a list of the text effects that it has applied, I guess. So yeah, this is fine. And we're going to go ahead and say public virtual void deinitialize, which won't take anything. And I guess we'll just say labels.clear. So not really doing anything crazy there. Okay. So let's go over here to our input section. And here's where it gets weird. I need to know when to apply these effects, which I might be able to do actually. So this is not going to affect input modifiers. Hooray. It will affect output modifiers, which means that I think output modifier can actually have a list of text effects. I think. I think this will work. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and say public list, not listening animation module, list text effect. I guess we'll just call it effects. Equals new list text effect. And basically what happens is the input view will look at the output modifier that it has assigned to it and say, do I have an output modifier? Yes. Okay, format my text and then apply any of the effects that that output modifier has to any of my outputs that I'm going to show. So that's actually not too bad. And when I initialize this, it's going to be fun. I think I'm going to need to basically pass in that list. Hooray. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we're going to say list up, and I can't do that because this is not using system.collections. Using system.collections.generic. So this is going to be a list of excuse me. This is going to be a list of text effects. Text effect. Call it effects. I guess I could make this list null, which is going to be weird. Okay. And that's going to break everything, pretty much. Snap it in half like a pack of spaghetti. But we'll be able to fix that, hopefully. The next thing we need to do, really, is just get our... Well, yeah, okay. Great. Yeah, okay. Let's find all references. not going to work, is it? Okay, well, it's going to snap everything. But before we do that, I guess I can try to at least set some stuff up. So let's come over here to input view. Do we have any errors here? No, we won't because I tell it to be null. Great. Output modifier, question mark, output modifier dot effects, else null. So it's going to be a lot of this, I think. Final references, might as well do this real quick. Alright. So now we're just going to let it compile and break everything in the project, because it's totally going to do that. Mostly because of function changes. Let's see here. Text section, initialize. Great. This is also not doing anything with system. Using system.collections.generic. You know what? I'm just going to make it a freaking array. There's no reason for it to be a list. Can I make arrays null? Yes, good. Mostly because I'm not looping through text effects being passed in to try and find a specific one very easily. So there's no real reason for me to make it a list. Let's go to output modifier. We're going to make this a array as well, an array. All right, and let's go to input view. Is that all fine? Yep, that's good. All right, same thing here. Same thing here. Okay. Now, I am going to actually want to have. Of course, you can never win. So we're going to say using system.collections.generic. We're going to say private list text effect spawned effects. Actually, I'll probably call these applied effects. And these are going to be the actual objects that get instantiated in. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Oh, man. Do I actually want to move all of this stuff? No, it should probably be an input section, I guess. It just kind of sucks because that means that spaces are going to have applied effects, which doesn't really make sense. It's not a huge change. I want to change it later, so I think I'll just put it in the base input section for now. Anyway, next we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than effects dot length I plus plus, and we are actually going to say if effects does not equal null. All right, then we are going. Oh, I almost made a stupid mistake. This needs to be protected. Can't quite have a private thing in an abstract class. Doesn't make sense. So we're going to say applied effects equals pool. And oh, okay. Using sleepyowl.common. Okay. Pool manager dot request text effect effects of I. Oh, right. Text effect is equal to that. And I guess it's going to be cached transform for its parent. I'm not going to worry about having a container. I don't imagine this stuff getting out of hand, really. So, and then we're going to say applied effects dot add effect. All right. And let's go ahead and down here, and in deinitialize, we are going to actually say for int I equals 0, I is less than applied effects dot count I plus plus applied effects of I dot deinitialize, and then I guess that's it. At the very end, we're just going to say, oh wait, no, duh. Clear it at the end, but I got to recycle everything here. So we're going to say pool manager dot recycle applied effects of I dot game object. All right, and I'm going to say up here effect dot initialize label. Crap. Yeah, okay, wonderful. So I actually need to move probably all of this for loop into a new function for initializing text effects. Mostly because I'm going to have to override this logic so that we can properly initialize each effect, which is not ideal, but kind of necessary. Fortunately, I only need to do it for the initialize function, not for the deinitialize stuff. So it's not the end of the world or anything. Let's go ahead and come down here. Actually, I guess we'll make it a new one below everything else. So we're going to say protected virtual void initialize text effects. And I guess it's going to be here. Past that, and we'll say initialize text effects. Can't type tonight. Don't know why. All right. So that just means that we're going to have to override our initialize text effects function here. That makes it a little bit easier than having to initialize or override the entire initialize function and not call base.initialize. All right. So next, that's the text section. Let's go ahead and find all references. Probably gonna just copy this. Let's see, input view, book section. Oh wait, no, not book section. We would want book. No, we would want book section. Check input, deinitialize. All right. Come down here. Put this in here. I'm gonna call this override. Crud. Crud. That's really bad. So, for our book, because we have to wait a couple of frames for TextMesh Pro to properly initialize, that means we're going to have to temporarily store our effects and then initialize them after the fact. Because we can't. The idea is that each effect is going to need to reference all of the labels that are used, and that means that it can't be prematurely spawned, or at the very least prematurely initialized. Which, okay, that's actually not too bad. Yeah, actually no, that's not too bad at all. Okay, that just means I'm going to take away that. And we will go ahead and say initialize text effects. Effects. Oh, right, yeah, I know. Let's grab this. Equals null. And then down here, in populate page text. Okay, we're gonna do for int I equals 0, I is less than applied effects dot count I plus plus. Oh, does it not want me to use I? Oh, it's because I'm okay. Fine, yeah. J then. We're gonna say applied effects dot initialize. Oh, really? Oh, right. I've got to do of J dot initialize, and this is kind of where it's gonna suck, because I don't really have a good. Ah, nuts! Don't tell me. Oh, jeez. No, 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 no. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Left label. Where do you get parented? Like, I have to clean this stuff up, right? Surely I clean these things up. Huh. Maybe I don't. Let me go into my deinitialize. Set active. Ugh. Okay, this is gonna suck. So, all right. Comment this out, and I'm gonna do something that I don't usually do. I'm gonna take a 5-minute break, refill my water bottle, because I really want to knock this out tonight. So, I guess I will have my text say that. So, let's see, what time is it? Back at, we'll do 8:50. All right, so I will be right back, and then we're gonna knock this out, because I think we're making good progress. So, 5-minute break, everyone. All right, I've returned, and it is 8:50. So let's get back on that. Yeah, it's not as easy as I was hoping it would be. I will actually come down here to text effect. I'm going to add another way to initialize things, which is going to be basically the exact same function, just slightly different. It's going to have one extra parameter. Um, and that is going to be initialize with a list of text mesh pro UGUI. What do I want to call it? I can't call it new labels. New list labels, not the best name. All right. And we're basically just going to do this as a convenience method for things like the book section, which have an arbitrary number of lists or arbitrary number of labels. I mean, it would be easier to pass a list than to try and calculate out a new array and then fill everything in and blah, 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 blah. So let's go ahead and say for int I equals 0, I is less than list labels dot count I plus plus. Oh, and also, while I'm doing this, I apologize. Immediately after I left, I realized I probably should have stuck music on because I have a couple of songs that I probably could, not have Twitch silence my video if I played them. But I didn't. I was foolish. Alright, so we're going to say labels.add list labels of I. Okay, simple as that. Come back here to the book section. And this is exactly what I was talking about, by the way. So applied effects. Before we can initialize it, we're going to do this. And I guess actually I do kind of, no, it's fine. So we're going to say list text mesh pro UGUI labels is equal to new list blah blah blah. And then we're going to say, oh, not that. Applied effects of j dot initialize with labels. Very simple. All right. Obviously, we're not done here because I need to populate this. So we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than page pairs dot count I plus plus. Labels. Oh, right. I can't do that. I have to do J. Yarg. Should have made it index or something. Labels dot add page pairs of j dot left page, which is yes, good. Wait, left page object. Okay, no, it's just the game object. Left page object. Don't know why I use square brackets. I meant to use curve brackets. Parentheses, however you want to say it. Come on here. We're gonna add right page. Alright, so that should hopefully send over everything it needs to do. Do I have anything else in books that needs it? No, that's probably enough. And I think I am going to go ahead and move this to a separate function just so that it's isolated. I like to keep things nice and neat. So we're going to move this to private void initialize text effect, which is exactly what I called it, and therefore it's going to complain. Oh no, oh right, no, this one just doesn't accept anything, that's fine. So down here at the very bottom, I'm just going to call initialize text effects. Alright, okay, let's let that compile, so we should have one less, I think, error. Come back back over here. Oh, empty section. Empty section that does nothing. I guess I don't really have much of a choice. I kind of have to do it, don't I? Alright. So, let's just do text effect. Okay, simple as that. Copy that so I can just paste it in as we go. Map section. Pretty simple. Map settings. Borderline color. Map label. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to do the deinitialize stuff. So on book section. Check input, deinitialize. Clear. Okay. I think I want to say. Hey, you know what? Jeez. I guess I am going to end up doing that, aren't I? Text section. So I have an initialize text effect. I might as well have a virtual protected virtual void deinitialize text effects. Mostly for my own pure laziness. So that I can do stuff like this. Text effect. Alright, that means I'm going to come just over here and say deinitialize text effects. Much easier. Now I don't have to write it every time. Nope, that didn't work. Deinitialize text effects. Alright, and then I can say right. Effects. Say if effects does not equal null. Alright. And that probably... Actually, no, I don't think I have to do anything special for this one. Because the base initialize will use the base label, which is the only label in map sections that we really care about, because that's the hint label. Okay, so that's the map section, and I think the book section taken care of. What's really funny is that when we actually test this, it's going to basically not do anything, because we won't have any text effects to test. Blah! Tongue twister. Text effect. No. And sword label? Oh, right. This derives map section. Do I need to do anything special? No, I don't. Because that's going to do everything. Okay, so that's all I just need to make sure that it was actually overriding properly. Okay, so that's good. Read section. Effects. No. Alrighty then. Do I have anything special? Nope. Again, just like with maps, the base.initialize will actually be fine here. I don't need to do anything special. Make sure that base.initialize is good. So I should be fine there. Alright. That means that we should be down to our last one. Text effect. Effects equals null. And I don't think I really need to do anything special for this again, so we should be good. Probably should change that text, considering we're not on break anymore. Let's see. Do we have any errors? No, we don't. Hooray! So this is a test sentence. Alright. So no errors. And the goal is to get this stealing effect, the grain and the shrinking of characters, to basically be applicable whenever we want it to. So, as a test, let's go back to our cabin scene. Cabin new. And we should be able to play through, interact with everything, and again, nothing should change because we don't have the actual prefab set up yet. But that's the main thing that I want to do. I want to make sure that the base system is still unaffected by it. So let's do read. Okay, it looks fine. No errors. Although we did get 2 debug logs, which is kind of weird. Let's do eat. Apparently, I can't spell eat tonight. Eat. Okay. So everything looks like it's fine. I believe our output modifier is looking for P's. So if I say apple, okay, that's fine. Let's go ahead and stop. So now let's try applying those effects. And to actually get things to work, I'm going to need to... I don't have a canvas in here anymore. Alright, let's go ahead and create a... I don't want to create a canvas in the scene. Let's go ahead and go to our intro scene. Splash fade, because that has a canvas in it. So we're just going to make a quick prefab that will be able to spawn in and apply text effects. And hopefully it'll work. We'll find out. Because I think we can get that stealing text effects working. It's just going to be a little odd. Yeah, custom game maps in here. I always forget about that. Alright, so we're just going to make a pretty much nothing game object. And I guess we actually need to make a text effect, don't we? Or, for the time being, I can just make steel chars a text effect. That will work. Okay. So we're going to make this a text effect. And this is where it's going to get super fun, by the way. Because we're going to get rid of the text component that it's referencing, and we're going to have to make it loop through every single one. Oh boy! That's not going to be fun. Okay. So it's going to be for int I is equal to 0. I is less than labels dot count I plus plus. All right. Scroll all the way down here. And again, I know that our code for this class is horrendously unoptimized and not well thought out, but we're more concerned with getting it functional right now before I try to do anything crazy. Really? Labels is... Did I make it private? Was I stupid? I might have made it private. Where are you? Seriously? Fine. Peak definition. I made it private. Protected. Jeez. Silly me. Okay. So that means that this is going to be labels of I is basically what we're going to be replacing everything with. So we're going to come down here. Oh dear. Right. Okay. I might have spoke too soon. I'm going to do that. Oh, jeez. This is going to drive me nuts. I'm going to do a reverse nesting order. Normally I do I, then J, but in this case I'm going to do J, then I. Mostly because I'm pretty sure I'm going to scrap this whole class and then redo it later. So it's probably fine. Alright, so we're going to replace the rest of this stuff with the things it needs to. Alright. And so I guess I can no. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay. So I actually want to do override initialize. Oh, crap. Alright, fine. Let's override the other initialize too, just in case. And at the end of this, we're going to say start coroutine, steal coroutine. here. All right, and we can get rid of the start down here because it won't work anymore, which is fine. All right. I think we're good to go on that script. Let's see if we get any errors. But hopefully this will start us down the wonderful path of vertex animation on our individual characters. All right, let's clear that. Let's assign this. I'm going to call this text effect dash steel. All right, chars. I'm going to go ahead and just make them, P and P for now. This will probably all be dynamic later on. All right, we're gonna come down here to our temporary place where I'm just gonna dump it, and then we're gonna come up to strike, add our text effect steel, and now it, in theory, should work with our base system. So let's go to our cabin and see what happens. Cross my fingers hoping that this works. Just really want it to work. Really want it to work. Okay, so if I type apple. Yes! Oh, and that's even cooler. The dashes actually look nice once the characters disappear. Ha! Yes! Okay, so that's great. So peruse self. Ah, that's great. I was actually thinking I'm probably gonna have to remove those strike throughs because they'll look bad. It's like, nope, they look cool actually. Ha! Okay, so that's exciting. Yeah, that's actually not bad. Let's try putting on something that wouldn't have a P in it. Let's do examine self. Yeah, okay, so nothing really happens there. Which kind of makes me wonder if I need to optimize that somehow. But then again, like that whole script is just probably not going to be super great optimization-wise. So I'm going to have to redo that. But so we do have a system in place now for text effects, which is nice. Is there anything? I can't really think of anything else I'm going to do right now. Mostly because I need to really kind of get my arms deep into the Text Mesh Pro Vertex system to really get a handle on that. But that's great. I'm just so happy that it actually ends up looking pretty nice. And I do think I'm going to keep the strike through just because it ends up being pretty. So the input system, you can tab up or down by using the arrow keys to see previous inputs. And I guess because of the char stripping, it inputs the modified thing instead of what you actually put. I probably should change that. Let me take a look. All right, so let's go to our input view. Add text. I think we want to go to add input. It's up here on submit. Okay. Should I move this, I guess? Hold on. Not doing anything weird. Okay, yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this then. Up here. There we go. Because it should store your unmodified text. But that's exciting. All right, Garrett. Thank you very much for stopping by. Don't you mean dinner? Even 3 hours, 4 hours behind me. That's still dinner. Or supper, depending on where you are, I guess. By the way, enjoy your food. So let's take a look at this again. Second meal. Fair enough. So apple. So we get shrinking. It seemed to do it in fits there for some reason. And then if I hit up, good. Okay, so it does apple, and then it shrinks them again. Uh, yeah, that's super nice. Ah, yes, and you can do sequential. So if I just like spam it, they'll shrink in sequence. Ha ha ha! Oh, that's so exciting. Supper? Really? Have you never heard supper? Yeah, it's dinner and supper. Those are the two terms that I know for the meal that you eat at night. I don't know any other words for it actually. Um, yeah, it's always dinner or supper. Anyway, all right. So we have our system in place for supporting uh, text effects now, which is nice. I'm going to go ahead and clear this actually. So I'm going to say clear, mostly because I want to take a look at my pool manager real quick. We're going to go to text section. Make sure. Okay, so it looks like they have properly recycled, which is good. I was a little worried that maybe the text sections wouldn't be properly like cleaning up, but it looks like it is. Okay, that's good. I am next going to interact with the book. Let's read something, see what that looks like. Oh, okay. That's fair. Ha ha! This is actually kind of weird. It looks like the P's were staggered across everything. So if I do read again, ha! It is. It's staggered. It seems to be doing them in order from left to right. Hold on. Turn back. Does it still do it there? Oh. Oh, that's not great. Do I have... I don't have any errors that showed up. So it looks like flipping forward, then flipping back. Um, does not... It causes the P's to just show up again. That's problematic. That probably means that I need to have a function to trigger text effects from their sections. Okay. So that would be good. So let's go ahead and stop playing because I'm actually I'm kind of curious. Let's turn page. So this one we've already done. Let's turn page again. We didn't have any P's, so can't really test my theory. Either way, so I do need to do that. I do wish I could reduce the delay between the chat and the stream, which actually I guess would be the reverse for me. I wish I could make the stream closer to when I'm actually live, but I think there's a 20 or 30-second delay, and I'm not sure if that's actually something I can adjust. Anyway, so let's go over to where are our text effects? I think it might have just got shoved off. Let's go to definition. Yeah, it just got shoved off to the side. So we're gonna have initialize. Then let's have a public. Do I really need virtual? Probably not, but I'll do it anyway. Public virtual void. Apply effect. Which is probably actually going to be abstract. All right, so this is a text effect. We're going to want to have public override void apply effect. Don't need to throw anything, which means there's an included system. We're gonna move this down here and call apply effect. All right, let's do this. All right. How do I want to do this? I think I need to go to my book section, and whenever turn page is called, we'll need to actually say apply effects again. Okay. So I think I want to do it here. Let's find all references. Yep. Pretty sure that's what I want to do. Yep. Okay. So after we do all this fun stuff, we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than applied effects dot count, I plus plus, applied effects of I dot apply effect. Simple as that. That should cause a basically refresh of the effect. So now when we flip through the book, hopefully it will actually refresh that text and give us that stealing effect. All right, let that compile, and come down here. I'm going to shorten the steal duration to 2, and I think that's probably good. All right. Alrighty then, so let's do read. Okay, we got 2 P's there. Let's do turn page. No P's there. Turn back and going. Yes! All right, we got it. That's good. Okay, so let's read. Also gonna reorient a little bit. I don't know why, but it seems like my particle effect is brighter. It could just be random chance. Anyway, let's read. Get some. I feel like actually I'm gonna change this to be E, because E is gonna be a lot more noticeable when it's stolen. So let's change the strike value to E's, and we should be good there. I guess input modifier should be E as well. All right. So we're gonna get this. Get a couple of screenshots. Not rad. Oh crap. I don't know another word for read. Peruse, maybe? Dang it. That has an E in it. Crap. I doubt scan will work. Yeah, I don't have scan. I can do look. Ah, jeez. I can't do E because I can't read the book if I don't do E. Crap. Okay. Maybe I maybe I fudge this a little bit and just make it A. That won't work because read has A in it. Why did I make it A? Okay, let's just change it to P again real quick. Just to cheat. Okay. There we go. Okay, yeah. I can't make it E or A, or R or D, because then it wouldn't make sense. So, I'm trying to think of screenshots that I need to take. I want to make it P. That's such a terrible word. Let's make it something like C. C seems like it would come up a lot. Actually, no, let's make it S. Because this is Moby Dick still for our Markov chain, so surely C and ship and all that stuff would come up. So, make it S. And again, S and S. Okay. Let's try that. Because there are no S's in read, which is apparently the defining factor of this. So let's do a screenshot of that. Let's do an examine self. I do not understand the word self. All right, think I got my screenshots. Got two good ones. So yeah, we got a lot done tonight. Actually, we got a very rough draft of our text effect system in there. We have animations firing for when a letter or char is forbidden because it's been stolen. And it's actually somewhat understandable now that it has been stolen. It's not a parser error or a user error, or like an input error. So hooray! Trying to think, do I have anything else I really need to go over tonight? It's probably a good place to stop, considering it's almost been an hour and a half, or an hour and a half, 2.5 hours. Um, should be back on Saturday with the Saturday sort of experimental Devstream. Still taking a crack at custom content maps, getting that stuff sorted out. So, any other announcements for tonight? Nope. I'm in a very happy mood. Very good mood. Just, it looks so good. I'm so excited. So, alright, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.